Welcome back to the next episode of the Green Room Podcast. This is episode, what are we, 13 now?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
13.
13.
Thanks, guys.
So, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, of
Wow.
course, anytime.
Let's have Chad on 13. I need all the luck I can get here, guys. Appreciate it.
If you couldn't tell, we're in a little bit of a different spot
this is a
where
little bit
the AC is getting worked on right now in the theater. So they graciously let us use their actual stage, which is awesome.
Perks of working here.
So for episode 13, the AC went out and you had to move locations for...
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
Yeah,
That's
perfect.
right.
Well, and anyway.
And our one lovely guest is here.
Yeah, that's Massimo. I'm not Massimo. I'm Brendan.
Oh, yeah. I'm your co-host. I'm Massimo. Next to me is Brendan.
Yeah, I'm not him. I'm me. Shout out me. Anyway.
Want to intro our lovely guest?
So I'm really excited for this episode. When Massimo and I were starting to talk about making this podcast, we first went, well, what guests do we want on? And my first guest that I said, if we're going to do this, it's a goal of mine. I really want to interview this guy. It's our next guest. Not only is he an amazing guitar player for New Found Glory, produced one of the best records of all time, Common Courtesy. I messed it up. Common Courtesy.
Common Courtesy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Gilbert.
Woo!
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for coming on. Obviously.
It took a lot. You were like, do you want to be on the podcast?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. And then here we are. Yeah. That's it. That's
a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how you doing, man? Doing good?
Good.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to be, here with you guys hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think
awesome.
first, obviously, we know you personally from here at the theater.
Yeah.
Because you do the movie gang and the Franklin Theater and you're here all the time. So I wanted to first actually just start with kind of the whole, because you love movies. It's obvious about you love movies and cinema and the making of it all and all the behind the scenes. And I wanted to get into your love for movies and how that turned into Movie Gang and how that evolved into where it is now,
For sure. Yeah. It all started, it's actually, it's a pretty long thing where like looking back, my older brother, Brian, loved movies when I was really little. So, being sick, when you're homesick from school, you go to the VHS store, you're in a bunch of VHSs and you watch all these movies. And my brother got me, he was like 5 years, he's 5 years older than me, 4 years older than me. So he is, back then, like that's a big gap,
exactly.
When your older brother is, 12 and you're, whatever, he's already watching, showing you Star Wars and these things. So then when my brother was a little bit older, he got a job at a movie theater, General Cinema. So I would go watch movies all the time. Like, I remember going to Nightmare Before Christmas when it came out and no one was there. It was a flop.
Crazy.
It was a flop.
Yeah.
So my brother worked there. When he got a little bit older, he worked at the video store. And then when I turned 15, I worked at the movie theater.
Oh, man.
So I used to work at General Cinema and I would do everything. I was everything from, cleaning up to ripping tickets to selling tickets to popping popcorn upstairs. Mm-hmm. So I worked at the movie theater for like 2 or 3 years for a really, really long time. The same one my brother did. Mm. So all my life I was, and I was in, I was in the band, we started New Found Glory when I worked at the movie theater. So
that's crazy.
Awesome.
Our Nothing Gold Can Stay record, the $250 that I had to help pay for the recording. By the way, that recording I think was like $1,000.
Really?
That's
back then, or $1,500, which was like so much to us.
Did you guys mix it? Did Cyrus mix it?
No, the guy Jeremy, he's ended up I think touring and working with like really big artists, but his name was Jeremy Dubois.
Okay.
I think he ended up doing sound for Kelly Clarkson and all this stuff. But he had this little like Miami studio in little Miami recording studio that in like a warehouse district back then.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, so the like $200 I made from the movie theater helped pay for, that was my like, we all split
awesome.
it,
Yeah.
And then I think from there working them, and then I ended up going on tour. But I would say a lot of the Movie Gang concept too was in the 90s, like whenever there was a big movie, our theaters would do stuff for it. Mm. Like when Batman 2 came out, Batman Returns, it's the Tim Burton one. It was a big deal. So they decorated the theater doors to look like the Batcave.
That's awesome.
That's sick.
And then like when Dick Tracy came out, our theater, if you went opening night to Dick Tracy, you got like a Dick Tracy t-shirt. And then there was another theater that did this thing where when Pee-wee's, not Big Adventure, but Big Top Pee-wee came out, they had a Pee-wee lookalike contest. Same thing with Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. They had a Freddy, because now everyone looks at Nightmare on Elm Street really scary. But back then, it was pop culture. It was just funny.
Yeah, it was like a character.
Even though it's weird, this dude's going around killing people.
Yeah.
So when I went to the movies to see, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, there was a lookalike contest and you won toys. So I remember growing up, and I still remember those movie experiences and just always being a fan. And then moving here, meeting people at the theater, I was like, oh man, there's so many young adults like me. And there's like the big chain theater, but this is such like a community type place. What can we do to like make people like us, our peers and young adults? And I always say, young adults are adults with young hearts. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, That's kind of like that middle ground. And yeah, we did the first one. I think it was 2015. Or 2014, I did Home Alone here, and we had a Santa on stage. People were taking pictures with
That's
Santa.
great.
We had an ugly sweater contest. We gave out, candy canes, and it sold out. And then that was it. We became, a staple here until the COVID thing happened.
Yeah.
And then now we're back again, rebuilding.
Better than ever, I'd say. You guys are here a lot.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite events.
That's a great way to get into, I think, the Christmas time thing, because everyone's like looking for that extra little something to
little
do.
Candy
And So that was a great idea to start there.
Do you have a personal favorite movie that you've done so far that you think was an extra spectacular like event for it? For a movie gang,
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the ones that I always like the ones that sell out, they're awesome and amazing, but I always find the ones that aren't sold out are actually have the cooler stuff. like I loved what we did with Terminator 2.
Yeah, I was here for that one. That was great.
Like we did the I'll Be Back contest and the glasses and there was a lot of fun extra stuff, but it wasn't our biggest one. It was like one of our lowest selling ones because Terminator 2 doesn't attract the full family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not, it was around 4th of July and stuff like that. But I love that one. Another one that I thought was so cool, there was an old one that was another smaller one, was Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, yeah.
We did Mad Max, years ago. And I had Franklin Moto, and the whole front of the theater was all motorcycles.
That's cool.
So anyone that had motorcycles, and I teamed up with Franklin Moto, and it was just like, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
Because you're pulling, people are in Main Street, Franklin, and there's like, 15 motorcycles, and it just says Mad Max on the marquee.
Yeah.
And it's just,
that's
awesome.
So cool.
That was a fun one too,
Cool.
Yeah.
And that one we had an artist, this guy named Jeff Bertrand. I think he did like a live, was it Jeff? I think so. He used to live here.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And he do paintings and stuff. Yeah. I think he moved to Pittsburgh. I'm sorry if I said his last name wrong, or if I even said the wrong person. But I'm pretty sure it was Jeff, and he was doing like paintings of like a lot of the characters like live.
Yeah.
In the hall out in the lobby, like painted characters from Mad Max and stuff. So anyway, those are really cool. And then I think the one that I think that people love the most is the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because that one I built an eat along. Which is like that.
Really?
One, yeah, that's the one where you get a bag of candy and an instruction guide, and when they eat the candy in the movie, you eat with them.
That is awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then we drop the golden balloons when the golden eggs. I think you dropped some balloons before.
I think I did. Yeah, I think I was up there dropping balloons for that.
I was here for the Goonies, I think. And I did
that
one.
We did the boulder
yeah.
The Goonies. And in the Goonies, there was the one eat along scene with you gave everyone Baby Ruth. Said you have to wait.
That's right.
Yeah. They do it. The best is when you hear the rapper. 200 and whatever many people would hold you here. Shh.
And the best is when you can hear the people can't wait, and like as soon as you see it on screen, they're opening it
up.
Yeah,
they want to be
yeah.
Finally.
Yeah,
I could eat my Baby Ruth. Trying to think. Yeah, the next one we're doing is Pirates of the Caribbean,
awesome.
And that's fun.
Which one is it? The first one?
Yeah, the first
one. Okay, cool.
Because I was like, every time we play them, I watch them and rewatch them and get ideas and inspiration. And I was like, man, I do. starting one, I was like, is this the one I want to do? Because I love like a lot of the later characters too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? If we sell out one, maybe we can get part 2.
That's right.
And do that right.
That's
after.
a great
Just
idea.
Keep the series going because it's the pirate thing it's so fun, like the decorations and stuff like that, and for the movie. There's so many like gags and things to pull.
I think so. Yeah, and Johnny Depp, his performance in that is perfect for an event like this. For a bunch of little kid Johnny Depps, and then a bunch of adult Jack Sparrows, and the whole nine. Yeah. I also like the culture that it's brought, because even when we show, or if it's not a movie gang event, we're showing Christmas Vacation, we're showing Elf, even those holiday stuff. Half the audience is dressed up. And I do think it's really because of the movie gang, because it's pushed that culture of the Franklin that you enjoy your movies more than just sitting and watching. You enjoy it.
Yeah.
Making an event, really enjoy that moment. So
yeah, Christmas time around here is awesome.
It's
every day is like 3 or 4 movies a day, and like it's great.
That's awesome. I think that's the thing too with like the Franklin Theater. Like why I love this place is, downtown Franklin. If you visit, it's like, it's beautiful. You walk around, you see stuff, but then when you're done, there's not a ton of activities unless you're here for like an event.
Yeah, like a festival or something. Yeah.
And stuff. So with the theater, I'm like, man, this is such a center. It's such a center of downtown that like, you need to, oh, you're going shopping. Cool. Like now make a plan. Go shopping. Come to one of our events that night. Giving more nights to those people that are like, down here doing the Instagram photos. Like, all right, well, 7 p.m. we're having like Throwback Thursday comedy night. Like, come on in.
Yeah, Sci-Fi Sundays, is it? Right?
Yeah, the Sci-Fi Sundays.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Fun. So
the Goonies. When I went to that one, I had so much fun because I love that movie.
It's his favorite movie. When I first met him, that's all he could talk about. I was like, dude, the Goonies. The Goonies and Whitney Houston. That's all he talks about.
I do think that the Goonies is the most underrated movie potentially ever. I do think that this can be a really hot take. I think that it's more enjoyable to watch than Back to the Future, but that is a super hot take.
Oh, I believe that. I agree.
Millimeters different.
No, I agree. I mean, I love Back to the Future, but I think Goonies is better.
Yeah. I also love.
I'm a Back to the Future fan because I like Huey Lewis, and it's just, that's just the go-to.
That does make a lot of sense for you. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. The Goonies is interesting too because like the music's good for it, and I told him I had a transition plan for this.
This is a good segue.
I actually didn't really. I just told him that I did.
You lied.
When we led up to that event, I was like thinking about like, oh well, what Goonies stuff is there that like just like extracurricular stuff, and you guys way back in the day did a cover of the Goonies theme song, Cyndi Lauper song.
Yeah, Goonies are good enough.
I listen to on a semi-regular basis.
That's
just as much as all the other like pop punk stuff I listen to. That's in the playlist. I love it so much.
You and one of our fans from Pennsylvania. That no matter, this one guy in Pennsylvania, he does not leave me alone. Play Goonies tonight. Like he'll be crowd surfing and singing another song, but then yell Goonies.
That's
Goonies.
Awesome.
He
That
always
is
wants
awesome.
us to
I need
play
to go to one of your guys' show in Philly and find him.
Yeah.
And then both of you be crowd surfing and just
actually crazy that you said that too, is because when this episode comes out in August, that day you guys will be on tour in Philly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier because I was thinking of like, all right, well, the dates line up.
Yeah.
This will come out on August 14th, and you guys are in Philly that day.
So
That's
what
crazy.
you're saying is a road trip.
Yeah. So
Let's go.
on this day, that guy might be listening to this and then going to see you guys right after.
We'll premiere it live on stage.
Yes.
People watch the hour before you play.
Hey, that'd be great. We got a great fan base in Philly after that.
Exactly. Yeah. Goonies fan base. Yeah, I just want you guys are geniuses. Newfound Glory. You guys are so good.
Thank you.
A lot of my friends, and because I've said it before on the podcast, I'm in a band here in town, and I was telling some of my friends or my bandmates that I was interviewing you today, and they were like, "Dude, this guy's a legend. He's a legend." Newfound Glory are like icons. Like I personally think Newfound Glory, Blink-182, like money, and I want to know. Like in the beginning, how you guys reined in your sound, because early pop punk, it was a lot of different like was the same, but a lot of different inspirations of how heavy, how not heavy.
How did we mix it up?
Yeah, how'd you get it all into that one piece?
How did we influence? No, I'm just basically. No, at the time, I think so I would say the things that potentially would have held us back almost helped us in the sense that, if you notice, we're from Florida.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Which if you're a band from Florida, it's really, really, really hard because if you're from South, at least, granted, this is all before the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Social media and Twitter. And, so it's
Yeah.
like promoting yourself. Imagine it, to promote yourself, to get people to hear you, you have to tour. So our first show, if we were to book our own tour, which we did, to get out of Florida would take us 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think about that. Where you're in the Northeast, you're in the West Coast, you've got all these cities and all these in a 12-hour drive. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
You can play, but in
States,
Florida, just to get to Atlanta, it's 15
Yeah,
or whatever.
it's
Yeah,
dumb.
literally.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not kidding. We used to, our booking agent, who is still our booking agent now, would call me and we'd talk about Stone Cold and The Rock. Because I was like, we were kids, I was like a teenager,
Stone Cold Steve
and we'd talk about wrestling and they'd be like, oh, I have a show in New Jersey with the Get Up Kids or something. And we were little kids. I'm like, oh, really? And we would drive from South Florida to New Jersey to play one show.
Yes.
And drive.
Wow.
And that's like 20 something hours,
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's hard, right? But that also gives you a little bit more fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's now, okay, now I got to work harder, right? And so we had a really good work ethic, but how we got our sound, I'd say how that got developed is being secluded, being way in South Florida.
Yeah.
You're also not near anyone or near anything.
Yeah.
So like, you're not really worried about what people think about your sound.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to hear it.
You're just doing what you do.
You're just doing what you do.
Yeah.
So at the time, though I loved, my favorite band was Green Day. I loved East Coast hardcore. So a lot of my riffs were rhythmic because East Coast and New York hardcore has a lot of, which wasn't in punk.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
Punk was
exactly.
just. And then Ian, my bass player, loved West Coast punk. He would bring wrong radio show. He was a lot of West Coast punk bands' favorite fan in Florida.
Yeah.
He would go to the shows, hang out with the bands, and it was always like Blink. Before they were Blink 182, he'd go hang out with Blink, Unwritten Law, No Effect, whoever it was like all West Coast punk bands. Ian loved any band with like the fast punk beat. He loved the punk. So then there was that. And then lyrically, at the time, also in the Midwest, was a lot of like post-hardcore emo kind of stuff and like old school emo, like not like the pop culture emo, but like in the Midwest, there was like, like the Get Up Kids were happening.
Yeah.
And we loved the Get Up Kids. So lyrically and melodically, some of our songs vocally almost sounded like a ballad, but it was over punk music that had a rhythmic New York hardcore thing. So it was basically us coming together with all of our favorite types of music and trying to make each other happy.
Yeah.
So where I wanted maybe something to be a little bit more heavier, maybe Jordan wanted more melodic vocal stuff. Ian maybe wanted something inspired by. So the cool thing is all of us being ourselves and our influences pulled together, 3 or 4 different genre types to create Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
And if you go to our shows, you can see where that works because there are some kids that are into hardcore that are there. There are some kids into pop punk, but then there's just moms and dads who are just regular people who just love rock music.
Mhm.
So we've been lucky where it's like those little things that created our sound, and really translated, and people feel that like, ooh, there's like, this feels like me, because there's little pieces of them in there,
Yeah, I think that's exactly
great.
right. Like the way you were talking about, how like post-hardcore is more rhythmic and stuff. Like My Friends Over You is a perfect example. Or it's literally. Like if you're a guitar player and you love those big chords, you have those that's your moment. But if you love those chugs, you have that moment for you.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I So you guys came here, obviously the first show of what was it, the second leg of the acoustic tour?
Yeah.
You guys were here, and I also think you guys, the translation to acoustic is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I really do
fun.
think the new record is one of my favorite records, if not my favorite record of y'all's, because you can hear like the progression, but it's still just
That's
good old
awesome.
Newfound Glory. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah.
I love it.
Thank you. Thanks for checking it
yeah.
out.
That was a great night, man. That was a
That
That was a
fun.
great night. Yeah,
That was fun.
that was a great night.
You got
We
to
have-
work it. I just got to
Yeah.
stay for a couple of the
I got to work it,
songs,
yeah.
but you got to work
That
it.
was one of the few. We don't normally have a lot of like actual tour rigs come in.
Yeah.
It was one of the few times when we had a tour rig come in, and I enjoyed it a lot.
That's awesome.
I enjoy the high energy.
Oh, yeah, did we fit the
intense.
lights in here and stuff? We
Yeah.
had some, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
The lights were all back here. I think.
Like the racks.
Yeah, I think we like cut a few, so it was
Yeah.
most of them. But yeah,
That's cool.
It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
People are always surprised. It's like, oh, this stage isn't that big. We're like, yeah. People show up with the trailer out back, like a
Dude,
almost
it's
a
a-
semi. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my
It's a
gosh.
tough It's funny because it's a tough place to play
Mm-hmm.
because it's small, but like, we were doing a lot of theaters, but this one's very quiet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
a lot of theaters are like, the way the sound slaps and everything,
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this, like, it was so cool, like talking to fans and people after the show, because during the show, you couldn't tell if they were into it or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because of how quiet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the room is.
I
But it
see.
also is really cool. The vibe. It's like, you're playing somewhere special. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
like my bass player. He's the one. As much as I would have brought it up before I even brought it up, my bass player was like, "Are we going to play the Franklin Theater?"
That's awesome.
I was like, "Yeah, we
Yeah.
can. We'll make it happen."
Yeah. That's awesome.
Cool.
I loved when you guys were on that tour, how every day the posters were different, and one of you guys would take a picture of it
Yep.
on Instagram. Ian's were always funny when he
Yeah,
posted
Ian.
and stuff. Yeah.
He's
That's
always
great.
great to do that stuff.
Yeah.
He just nails it the first take.
Yeah,
just-
exactly.
Ian being himself.
Do you like nowadays when you're just at home practicing guitar, do you still do the hardcore thing and just pull up an old hardcore song and just drop
Just
to it
rip.
and do it?
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's awesome.
Of
I love
course.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. Are you
Ripping.
listening to any new hardcore, any of the stuff
Yep.
coming out nowadays?
Yeah, I listened to I guess the two newest bands. There's that band. I guess they've both been around for a little bit. There's a band from New York called Pain of Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Pain of Truth is really heavy and good. And then Never Ending Game
Yeah.
is a hardcore band from Detroit. They're really good. There's a bunch. There's a ton of cool new
Yeah.
bands coming out.
I agree. Yeah.
There's a band called Buggin' that released a record that's really good. Another hardcore band. They're from California.
Yeah.
They're really cool
That's
too.
awesome.
So yeah, there's
Yeah.
a bunch of
I think there's a cool moment in hardcore right now.
There
It's like the
is.
progression up into like the higher production, but still staying heavy
Yeah.
and where it's at. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, like
Yeah.
you were saying, there's an underground kind of a scene in Nashville, even. Of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and you're in it because
I was
you're,
about to
you're
say,
playing.
Shout out, actually, like a week after this comes out, my band, my singer, is throwing a hardcore festival here in town.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're the opening band, and it's gonna be sick. August 26th at the East Room, Bad Fest, 4th year in a row.
What's it called?
Bad Fest. So he's
That's a
he's
great
like a
name.
co-founder of the clothing company Bad World Anarchy. He's like
Okay.
the co-CEO or whatever, and they have been throwing this festival. It's the 4th year now, so
That's awesome.
yeah, it's a good time. We it's been at the end, but now this year with the East Room. Excuse me.
Okay.
So
Cool.
going up, yeah.
Oh
Good
yeah,
time.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I remember you saying that. It's
Yeah.
at the East Room.
You
Yeah.
gotta send me a flyer.
Oh,
Done.
definitely.
Text
I
me-
definitely will.
text me,
Done.
Yeah, I for sure will be sending it to you. Yeah,
Nice.
for sure. Yeah. So the Chad Ball shirts, I forget the band member. One guy was just wearing it in the band photos. I saw you
Yeah.
repost it.
Oh,
I remembered it earlier and I'm forgetting right now.
JT from Hawthorne.
Yeah.
Hawthorne Heights,
Those
yeah.
shirts are sick. I wanted to, get into, your treatments and all that stuff, but I want to first say that, like, I think you're super inspiring in the way that you just keep trugging through.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're updating your social medias. You're being positive. It's really inspiring.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah,
I
man. Like
appreciate
you're
it.
still trying to get out and do things and not letting it. I remember one of the first posts you posted about it. I was like, oh my gosh, and I just was like, dude, we are all behind you. And every single
Dude.
comment was like, dude, we love you. We're
That's
in this
awesome.
like so.
Yeah,
it
thank
seems
you,
like
man.
you've had a really great community of people behind you and everything.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. Like, from touring and meeting a lot of people around the country, making friends over the years and stuff, and yeah, like having that support, having that support from all my friends have been able to, like, I think too, like how lucky we are. Like our career, I don't have a 9-to-5 job, and a lot of people in the music industry, they're gone a lot, but they also have these breaks in between where they don't have their 9-to-5 jobs, so you're gone, you're working hard 24 hours a day, and then you're like, oh man, I'm so lucky because I've a lot of friends that do that kind of work. So I was able to have a lot of friends come stay with me and, take care of me while my wife's taking care of our baby. There's just so much behind the scenes. But then, having like fan support, people support, and then actually like friends being able to come in. It's been awesome. And of course, my mom lives in town, so she's helped a ton.
Yeah.
But it's been awesome. And just the whole thing about putting it out there, like, like my cancer is very, very rare. So looking at the odds, because I never smoked, I never drank, I never did anything like I anything in my band ever, and I've got half a liver, I've never had alcohol ever, so there's a lot of fear and a lot of things that people live with, right? So you're looking at, if you looked at our band and you're like, oh, and my singer says this all the time, it's like, you're the guy that lived a healthy lifestyle.
It's
I'm
crazy.
the guy that didn't party and smoke, and I'm the one that got the cancer. So my thing is I don't have resentment or anger about it, but I've been trying to, through all of it, learn that like how free we all are when we don't know it, right? Like, so when we're like, how lucky we all are when we don't know it. A lot of times it takes like a tragedy to happen to make you really focus in. So like going through this cancer battle, meeting other people with cancer all the time, having the rare one where the doctors are coming in and they're learning about it through me. A lot of the nurses, a lot of things, and realizing like, okay, like everyone is so hyper focused on when their life is going to go like this.
Yeah.
When am I going to die?
Yeah.
When am I going to get this? And so they're missing everything. And then the next thing years went by and you've been realize, oh, I've just been worried about things that have never happened. So my whole thing is going through all this and hearing, and also when you hear cancer, you immediately think death.
Yeah.
Right? That's just what you think.
Yeah.
Cancer, oh. And then you get it, and then you start meeting people and going through it, and it's a battle and it's a sickness. And with new medicines and new treatments and things, like mine was spreading and going crazy. And I saw a specialist, and she put together she worked with my specialist here, and they put together, a sort of chemo treatment that I started this year because I've been fighting it for a bit. And it started, and it worked. So now, like, every time I go and get scanned, it's less and less. And, so even though I'm sitting here and I have cancer in my body right now, talking to you, I got 3 tumors in my spine and I've got some left in my lungs. Every time it gets smaller and smaller.
Yep.
So it hurts and it sucks, but also it's like, all right, here's your situation. What are you going to do with it? And when you find out, okay, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to bring good from it? It relieves a lot of the pressure and focus on yourself, because it's like, there's time, you can, and I think that's an important thing to give off, because I think in music too, and a lot of people, a lot of people in this kind of thing, they hold on to their privacy. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to talk about it, or
you want to keep up an image and
or whatever it is, which is everyone's their own thing. But for me, when I knew and saw how rare it was, and when I did my first interview, there are so many people who die from the disease I have, pheochromocytoma. They die before they know they have it because it's so rare. So a lot of parents, there was some parents that would write me and say, my daughter died. We had her looking and getting tested for 4 years. They just told her she had anxiety and was stressed and high blood pressure, and she died. And when we died, we found she had a tumor. She had a pheochromocytoma. Yeah. So the only reason she had anxiety is because pheochromocytoma produces adrenaline. So I had an 8-inch one in me at first. So it was huge. It grew from my adrenal gland. Wow. So what it does is it shoots adrenaline in you and changes your hormones and stuff. So the girl would go to the doctors and be like, oh, your levels are through the roof. It's because you're stressed. It's like, no, it's because you had a tumor on your adrenal gland that was creating adrenaline and creating these hormones and creating these. So when I saw how doctors don't even know what it is, I'm like, I got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I can use my platform to help people.
Yep.
If people go to the doctors and they keep getting turned away, and after the 4th time, they can go, hey, have you ever heard of this? Maybe it's this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool
Exactly.
to be able to go, hey, And now everyone that's watching this is like, with high blood pressure, is like freaking out. But know that like it's very rare.
Yeah.
It's very rare what I have. So rare that, the first night I went into, the CCU in Nashville, the first night, and I think it was 2021 in December. When I went in, they were like, oh yeah, you're, I think our first one in 16 years or 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And one woman was like, yeah, I've worked here for 16 years and you're the first person I've ever
They come in with that. Wow.
with Theo,
Mm.
and they might have others before, but that doctor was like, you're the first one I've ever met with.
Yeah.
It.
Wow.
So that's how rare it is.
Wow. What a great story though.
Yeah.
Well, what a great, I know everyone here at the theater is right behind you and everything. So
thank you. Yeah, you guys get to see me in off forms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some days I come in, I'm like fine. And then other days I come in, I'm like on my walker, limping around.
Oh man.
Yeah. It just depends whenever the treatments are. The way the treatments work now is they're working in a good way. But the more chemo you get, the more, it takes a toll on your body.
Yeah.
So now it's just like, the weeks I get chemo suck, but when I get scanned and you see it's working.
Yeah. Then it's like,
heck yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to know the chemo is what's hurting you.
Yeah.
Not the cancer.
Yeah.
So that's like, makes it easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you guys saw on camera, but he just had a little scab and it was bleeding before, but we got a nice little
I bleed
patch
a lot,
now.
Warriors bleed. Yeah.
It's all, red, white blood cells, different things. You don't scab as easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all real,
Yeah.
That's why it looked like my leg was falling off.
Yeah.
And then I wipe the blood and it's just like this little dot.
Yeah.
Well, I know every couple of times you come in here for Movie Gang, we talk about, your shows and everything and how that's going. So how has this treatment and everything been affecting, going out on the road and stuff? I know we were just talking before that, you got a nice little scooter and everything that's been going out with you.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know yet, cause the acoustic tour we did, was for my spine and my back.
Okay.
And then I only got to do about 6 shows because by the time we got to Salt Lake, my back started hurting.
Yeah.
I went to the specialist in Salt Lake and they sent me home that day. So I got to do like 7 of the shows. So even with that was because my lungs. When I left on tour or months before that, my lungs were fine. And the stuff in my back.
Yeah.
So then this was a whole new thing.
Yeah.
And so since then I have been getting treatment.
Yeah.
So this is the first, and before that, since I was acoustic before that, I think the last like live band stuff I did was our Sticks and Stones tour.
Okay.
The 20 year of that. Cause I kept having to, I had to go home for back surgery for that too. So the difference now that gives me, cause the last 2 tours I had to fly home from.
Mm-hmm.
The difference now is on those tours, I didn't get chemo. That was before I started chemotherapy. So we were attacking it surgically and then through this other kind of like crazy treatment that I was doing that didn't work. So once now the chemo is working. So going out on tour, the difference is, let's say my lungs, something started to like grow a little bit.
Yeah, flare up.
The treatment I'm getting now is what I would be getting anyway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Where like before, if I didn't know if it was still there or not.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting a treatment that was working. So when it came back, it's scary. I'm like, why is this? So now in my body, I'll have the medicine. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so that gives me a little bit
there.
more peace of mind.
Yeah.
So when I'm leaving with medicine in me leaving with chemo. So the first and the tour, it's us and All American Rejects,
Yeah.
Motion City Soundtrack, Starting Line, the Get Up Kids. And when they set up the tour, there's 4 weeks off in between. So we'll go out and we'll do 11 shows. I'll come home. We'll have off like 4 weeks. I'll get chemo.
Yeah.
And then we'll leave and do like 14 more.
Yeah.
So it's really divided. I'm not gone for longer than like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And the treatments are in between. So, but we just did a show at in California. We did one show, us and Fall Out
so
Boy.
Cool. I watched the live stream the other day.
Dude,
it was
sweet.
so cool.
Dude, thank you. Yeah, it was fun, man. And that was at a big stadium, and that was a really big test for me physically. It took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
So only because the venue is so massive. And so the tumors in my back, when I do a lot of activity, they flare up, or if the chemo's killing it, whatever is going on, and the fractured bones I have, after a certain amount of time on my feet, it just locks up, and I have to sit. And if I sit for like a minute, fine.
Yeah.
I can walk again for 30 more minutes, you know. But that day was so long, and knowing that this tour is those days every day, because it's amphitheaters. They're not stadiums, but amphitheaters, things aren't like at the House of Blues. You just get out of your bus and you're in the venue. You know, amphitheaters can be far. Things are really far from them to go anywhere. So yeah, so I got a scooter.
Yeah.
So I got my electric little scooter. You see people at the supermarket in. I got one of those. So I'll be pimping that out. I'm gonna do a Pimp My Ride episode. And then I got a chair for stage.
Yeah.
That I decorated on Instagram as well. Just because like on stage, when we did that show, the first 2 songs, I was good. Right as I started the third song, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to sit down right away. I was like really winded and I could start to feel it. I didn't want to sit down right away because I wanted to like let people know why I was sitting down.
Yeah.
So then I finished the song, sat down, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
I needed it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just because, you know, the doctor right now, the doctor that did the radiation on my back, he's like, yeah, man, I radiated you to the level of paralyzing you.
Oh, wow.
He said, if I would have went any more, you wouldn't have been able to walk.
Oof.
And he's like, but that's what we had to do. We had to risk it. We had to kill this thing. And in my last MRI scan, every tumor in my spine was smaller or stable.
Yeah. That's
You know,
great.
yeah. So
That's
wonderful.
awesome.
So when I met with him, he was like, you know, you need to start, 30 minutes a day, at least going on a walk. So imagine my set's an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if your doctor's like, oh, I want to get you to a good point, make sure you're walking 30 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already,
Yeah.
I'm putting myself to work,
Yeah.
like I'm
Exactly.
tired a lot
Yeah.
because I hear 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'll do 3 hours.
Yeah. You tell me
I'm like, dang it, but,
Yeah.
but so if you can imagine how bad or how tight my back gets from here, if he's so for the chair, I was like, okay, like this is important. I do need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah,
be, and we're going to be able to tie it to the show, make it part of the show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Better than-
So it's a good move all around, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
to answer your question, sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah. But like the Fall Out Boy show was a great test.
Okay.
Now I need I need an electric thing to get around.
Yeah.
I need, at the airports, the wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. Like that helped.
Yeah.
So you guys are flying from venue to venue. You're not busing.
Well, no, we're busing it, but like
Okay.
out to Cal, knowing these certain things,
Yeah.
like learning the food, like I couldn't eat good
Yeah.
because the chemo was still going through me. So I need to make sure I have all the right stuff so I can eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the chemo kills your appetite.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in California, like for the show, like I could eat like 2 bites of things.
Really?
Mm.
So I had to go to the supermarket, get the Insure drinks.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because those I could drink.
Yeah.
They taste like vanilla sports shake. Love them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like going out this time, a little bit more peace of mind because I know I got the treatment.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna have extreme like anxiety leaving my wife and baby just because we've been so close and
Oh, yeah.
through all this, I've been home, just with my
Yeah.
baby and wife. So I'll have really bad anxiety leaving them. But the health side, yeah, it's like, all right, let's make it happen. And then there's times, especially when the chemo weeks come, those days it messes with your head. Like I want to quit my band.
Yeah.
Every Thursday of chemo, I want to quit my band. But by Sunday, I've already designed the merch line.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm where you are with this. So yeah, that's just like how the tour will be. Just kind of playing it by ear. But we're I also look at like when I get really bummed or whatever, like the anxiety stuff, is I remember like using this.
Mm-hmm.
Like every night, like when I talked on stage at this stadium, so many people wrote me about what I said on stage.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that was so cool. And a buddy of mine wrote me, he's like, dude, like he sent me a screenshot of some guy in a band that was there that sent him like, I just saw this set and like what they said, it was like so inspired, and these are people that have been touring and playing music for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's cool to know, all right, like using my story again on the road, though it hurts, though I miss, like my family, like this happened to me, like, and I just like, I pray to God, like, all right, God, like I have this, it's part of my story. You made it part of my story. It became part of my story. What do we do? How do we make it good?
Yeah.
How do we use it? How do we save some lives? How do we talk to people? How do we raise money? How do we make people who suffer with anxiety and fear and stress and all these things, like, how can we use this story to like help people? And it already has been. So it's cool.
Definitely.
So going on tour, these are the things that I just kind of fill my fuel tank with, okay, this is going to get me.
That's a great mentality to have.
Yeah.
That's a great
thank
mentality
you.
to have.
That's wonderful, man.
Thank you.
It's super inspiring. I love that. Yeah. Before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you about your gear on this upcoming tour.
Yeah.
Because we talk about it from time to time about like in-ears versus monitors, amp sims versus real amps.
Yeah.
And this kind of leads into that as like, I know you play a lot of Fenders kind of lighter,
Yeah. I just switched actually.
You
switched
did?
to Fender. That was my first show using them.
Really? Awesome. How's
Yeah.
that going for you? Did you enjoy it a lot?
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. And practices, it's fun. And that I had to switch to because of the weight.
Yeah.
I've been using customs my entire life. And, I'm the Gibson guy.
Yeah.
But I changed,
because Fender now. Yeah.
But the Fender that, sent me the guitars, like, he said he engineered Sepultura. So I didn't even change the pickups or nothing. It sounds so heavy and I love it. Like the model telly he's
that's awesome.
So anyway, what were we gonna ask about gear?
I was just gonna ask you, do you like, what is your thought process on, a real amp versus amp sims and the in-ears versus monitors and
so
that whole thing?
I think that like with the way people are about gear and like, tradition or true, whatever that, it just, whatever works for you.
Yep.
Or whatever works for your career. So for my career, like I play fast, energetic, heavy, sometimes punk rock music. And so your sets and these festivals, you're up and down quick, like, when you're on festivals or these things and you're traveling. So for us, flying, cost, sound, for sound guy, Kempers, right? That works. Why does it work? Not because it sounds the best, but it works best for what we have to do. We can sound good, make it work. So because of travel and things right now, but now am I the crazy Kemper nut? No, I literally turn it on.
Yeah.
I use the stock stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Stock settings? That's
And
awesome.
it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I found the stock settings, set it up, boom. Now I got a good, and the thing is some of our songs have a lot of clean channel.
Yeah.
Right. So for us flying around, we want to bust out head-on collision right in the middle. My rack mount Road King sounds incredible, but I'm not flying with that everywhere.
Yeah.
And also the clean channel isn't amazing. So now I get it all through so for the sake of the show, it works.
Yeah.
So then same thing with the guitars, right? Like I have Evertune in all my guitars. Why? Because I run around and I play.
Yeah.
And I want it to sound perfectly in tune. So the Evertune, so my first 3 strings don't bend. My last 3 strings do.
Yeah.
You have to cut out a lot of pieces of the guitar, which a lot of like guitar fans, purists, they would never do that.
Yeah.
But you're also not playing shows every night that are covered in sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for my guitars, I put Evertune in them because it makes the show easier.
Exactly.
And so that's how I am with gear. I'm very much just on and off.
Yep.
I'm not into like, and so that's kind of, and again, with our band, we have so many albums. So we fly through songs. I mean,
Mhm.
us and Yellow Card did a co-headline tour, and I Love You, Ryan. We practiced next to each other. And I remember Ryan coming over and being like, because we both had hour sets.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, how many songs you're playing? And we're like, oh, 19, 20. And he's like, what? Like, we're playing like 12, But, because like,
You're just boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
Yeah, we were flying through them. And, most bands, I'd say, lean more to the Yellow Card side of things, where it's like, they sound, they sound great. They have more interludes and, it's just a different type of band.
Yeah.
They're different than us.
Yeah.
We're different than them.
Yeah.
So that works for them,
Mm-hmm.
and it works great and it sounds awesome. But our thing is we have so many records and so many fast songs.
Mm.
We need the ability to be able to make a fan, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
for that. So
Yeah.
our set list might have, so with the Kempers and the quicker gear,
Yeah.
it helps tie it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
know?
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. We're about to record an album for that hardcore band, and my guitarist was like, do you want to do amp sims or real amps? I was like, dude, I don't even care, because whichever one you do, it's not right at this point, because one side is upset about it no matter which one you choose. So that's exactly right. Do whatever works for you. And if that works, you're fine.
And what works for the record, like, or if you're recording or the sound, like our last record, Forever and Ever Times Infinity, our last like full band record, we used my JCM 2000.
Oh, really?
A Marshall JCM 2000, which
Yeah.
no one would ever use. But why we use it is the producer we had, Steve Evitz, who did a lot of our favorite old records. When I was like, hey, would you record guitars on, Saves the Day Through Being Cool album?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, JCM 2000. I was like, dude, I have that. He's like, you have this year one? I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. And the reason why I have it is it's the one that me and my dad went and got me when I was a little kid. And
Oh,
I would
that's
help him
great.
help him lay tile on, jacuzzis and pools.
Yeah.
Like I'd go with him. And he got me the JCM 2000. But since then, no one's liked it. Like no one likes those.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, if you have this one, I know how to dial it in. And, that record, we use that. We usually always use it. Oh, and the Kemper obviously sounded terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not obviously, excuse me. But I mean, next to,
Yeah.
but live, the Kemper destroys
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
JCM 2000. I would never use that on tour.
Exactly.
Even though it sounded great on the record,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't. So it
Yeah.
really, you just have to,
Totally.
and a lot of times, like the gearhead people, if you're in a band and a gearhead, then you can afford it.
Yeah.
You got the money, you got the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a gearhead and you start a band and then you start going, you will quickly, to make it work, not become a gearhead.
Yeah.
Because your gear breaks all the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You're traveling, like things that worked great at home don't work in a trailer.
Yeah.
They bounce, the tubes are more sensitive,
Yeah.
things break.
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. Shit happens.
Exactly.
I'll bleep it. I don't care. Shit happens. Yeah.
that should be the name of this
Episode.
episode.
Shit happens. Yeah.
Beep happens.
Yeah. Beep happens. There it
Beep
is.
happens.
You heard it
I
here
like
first,
it.
folks.
Yeah.
Before we get out, I want to just promote the upcoming tour. I want to make sure I say it right. I wrote it down on the other sheet. The Wet Hot All American Summer Tour.
Yes.
I say it right.
Ooh,
Yes.
that's a great name.
Yes.
It's literally one of the best like pop punk hardcore whatever you want to call it tours in years. That lineup and the dates look so awesome. I just wanted to promote it and see if you have
thank
anything
you.
to say about it, if you are excited about
Dude,
it.
I'm so excited about it because, like, literally, it just was like laid on our laps.
yeah,
Really?
just like, hey,
Like, I remember the day I was upstairs and, sick or whatever. I'm just kind of cleaning up a room, and my manager and booking agent called. They're like, they're like, what do you think about American Rejects? And I was like, they're a cool band.
Yeah.
They got good songs, catchy
Yeah.
songs. And, they
Yeah.
started out on Doghouse Records, their first record, which is like Doghouse used to release, a lot of my, Get Up Kids and a lot of my favorite old records. Hank Shaw was on Doghouse.
There you go.
Or were they on Network Sound? No, I think they're on Doghouse. They had a record on Doghouse. Anyway, I was like, cool. And they're like, well, they're like, haven't toured in a long time. And I guess they had a really, great set at When We Were Young. And people were like, oh, they're a band that hasn't done like a reunion tour or a tour, and they were like, yeah. And their manager's like, yeah, they want to tour with you guys. Like, kind of co-headline, but it's their tour still. Cause it's their welcome back tour. They deserve that moment.
Of course,
it's their thing, but we play the same time length. So they'll close every night, but we both play an hour.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And they're like, it's their return tour, but they want to, treat it like it's, more of like a co-headliner because they know what you guys are bringing.
Yeah.
And we're like, cool, let's do it. And they're like, oh, and they were thinking, Get Up Kids and Starting Line. I was like, well, okay.
Yeah. That's even better.
Cool.
Awesome.
Been trying to to wrangle and figure out how to do shows with Starting Line, and I was like, okay, cool. There it is. And then like, in the Get Up Kids.
Get Up Kids.
Been wanting to tour with the Get Up Kids. Cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
So I was like, yeah, just say, yeah. And it's done by Live Nation.
Mm-hmm.
So Live Nation brought the tour up and put it all together, and we're like, awesome.
Yeah.
Why? Sure,
Easy.
we'll be
Exactly.
there.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's just an easy process.
It was.
That's great.
That was the call. We got invited, and we're like, let's do it. And touring now is it's a lot. Ever since COVID, and now everyone's back to touring.
Mm-hmm.
There's no buses, crew. It's so much harder to tour now, believe it or not. So that side's been a pain in the butt. Organizing, like we had a bus like booked, and now it's just gone now. So tour starts in 2 weeks, and I know it's in Tampa. We'll be there.
Yeah,
I might be in a car might be in a car following a giant truck.
Yeah.
So we got the truck.
Yeah,
the gear and the merch will be there.
All in that truck. Yeah, there you go.
We just got to figure out where we're sleeping.
Yeah.
No, but that's like a difficult side of touring is a lot of, things have changed. Even merch.
Yeah.
Merch is different. Merch is more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Merch is, different things are harder to get because of,
Yep.
it's just really different. But it's still, the hour on stage, it'll be fun.
The most important part. Yeah. Exactly.
And I'll be able to ride around in my cart.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can't wait to see videos about it. I cannot wait to see that.
Being here made me realize something I got to order now on Amazon. I realized I should get a flag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bro.
You know
that
what I
is
mean?
genius.
And
order a flag.
he was showing us a video beforehand, and he was zipping around the kitchen.
Like an F1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me. I'm gonna just put in my phone flag.
Flag. Yeah.
Yes.
Flag for scooter.
Yeah. There you go.
That's sick.
Safety flag for mobility scooter.
Oh.
What does a safety flag look like? Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's got little flags.
Money.
Oh, that's great.
So maybe I won't get I'll get the flag pole.
Yes.
But then I have for Goonies, I have a pirate flag still. So we'll put the pirate
might be
flag.
the way to go.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
pirate flag.
That's sweet. Hey, you heard it here first.
You did.
When does this come in? But here's the thing that keeps happening is I keep on ordering things for Pimp My Ride that I keep having to move back my film date,
Yeah.
Gotta wait for the flag to get in. Let's see. This is
Think
great.
of too many great ideas. That's all it is.
There it is. $39. Hey, I'm getting it because look, that's the one I have and it hooks onto the arm.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah.
Perfect. Right there.
Boom.
Oh, man.
Boom.
Well, dude,
right.
this has been great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. We try to leave the end of the show for our guests to kind of promote whatever they want, say whatever they want, their message to the world, whatever. So this is your time to say whatever you would like.
Yeah, I mean, get tickets to come see us play. Newfound.
Yeah. When do you start? When's your first day out?
Newfound Glory.
Newfound Glory. Yeah. August 11th.
Okay.
In
cool.
Tampa.
This will be out as we're saying August 17th. But you guys can probably definitely show.
Don't go to Tampa because it's already over. We're not there. But yeah, we could be in Pennsylvania right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that tour. And then just be on the lookout. Like Newfound, we've got a bunch of fun stuff that we're gonna be announcing, coming up. And awesome. Just excited to play. We got that tour, and then we've got the When We Were Young festival.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that festival, and it's going to be cool. And then everyone else, I'd say, thanks for the support. thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And thanks for the support, and the love and the encouraging messages I get, about my health and stuff. Thank you. And if you're in the same battle, stay positive, try to get into some hobbies. I think another thing that's kind of been interesting is it's sort of helped me, like, it's sort of been like a weird thing where I've been diving back into things that I used to love.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I
Like
see
ordering records,
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I used to love going through vinyl. Like that was, so I have a huge vinyl collection. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to start ordering some cool new records from bands and checking them out and just doing things like, I got like a horror movie coloring book.
Yeah.
I'm chilling,
cool.
I'm coloring. I'm like,
Awesome.
like getting into like, just little things like that, if you're in the battle, like get into more hobbies and figuring out just, ways to encourage people that are hurting around you, I guess,
That's
it.
great, man.
wonderful.
Awesome. You can follow Chad on Instagram. What other socials are you on? Or
Yeah, just
Instagram?
just pretty much Instagram.
Okay.
I have Twitter, but honestly, I just go on for the NBA 2K codes. So
That's
hilarious.
I know.
That is awesome.
I
That
mean,
is
yeah,
awesome.
because
just
they
get the
put
codes.
Yeah, and I did. So
Genius.
What's
yeah.
your Instagram handle? Just
same
so that,
X Chadball X.
Yeah.
love it.
Chad Bar.
Yeah. So you
great.
don't get a lot in there. I did do the Thread thing.
Yeah.
I switched over to not switch, but so I'm on Thread, which is fun. But that's actually interesting. I try to make I think it's fun what I find it's hard to search people on Thread.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
It's weird, but when I post something, it's fun. It's more like, getting people's opinions on things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that's great.
Right.
Then like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Testing the waters.
yeah. It has a different vibe, which is cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much again. This has been the Green Room Podcast. Follow us Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the stuff. I'm Massimo D Music everywhere. You can find that. Brendan.
I'm
where you at?
Bden_Ayton. Yeah.
Cool.
And let's drop, if you live in Nashville, around the area, follow the Movie Gang.
Yes.
Instagram.
Yes.
And follow Franklin Theater Movies.
That's right.
Yes.
And
On
they'll be right
Instagram.
here. Right here,
Right on
literally.
this stage. Right
Yes.
here. Yeah.
So if you live in
When's the next? Actually, when's the next one? Do you know the one that'll be in August? Do you know those now? Or if not, it's okay.
Yeah. We've got a bunch. August is a lot of Rock and Roll Mondays,
Okay.
which is cool. A lot of rock and roll movies. So on Mondays, a lot of people don't have something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
have
Monday.
much to do.
Give them
It's
something
Monday,
to do.
so we're doing rock and roll movies. I think I just made. Yeah, I made the thing.
The poster and all that. Yeah.
Let me see if I have it on my phone. Well, the next one is, I'll tell you, School of Rock.
That's
That's
sick.
gonna be
August
great.
7th.
That's awesome.
We got School of Rock August 7th. The one after, Straight Outta Compton,
Mm-hmm.
Monday after that, which will be an awesome one. And yeah, the Sci-Fi Sunday in August is Time Bandits,
Okay.
which is an amazing
Yeah.
movie by Vince Gillian. Vince Gillian, is that how you say it? He did.
I don't know.
So the director, he's done like insane. I'll bring up some of his movies after, and you'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, I know his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that, and then that night is Fifth Element.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that.
Nice.
I haven't
That's
seen
so
that.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
watch
Maybe I'll try to work
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, we got some good ones. And the next Movie Gang is not till September because of my touring.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But that's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Great.
That's awesome.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate
And we will see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking it out. Ciao.
it. Peace.
See ya.